Welcome back again. If we have just joined us, we welcome you. We're still right here on Pan African Morning, broadcasting live in the Republic of South Africa. Moving on with our stories, South Africa could see a further surge in COVID-19 cases under level 1 as more people come into contact with each other. This was highlighted by the National Institute of Communicable Diseases, Professor Adrian Puren. Professor Puren says that as many people come in contact with each other, there could be a second wave of the deadly COVID-19 pandemic that has killed close to 2 million people across the globe. He says that tracing capacity will need to be increased in this country, adding that there will be super spread in events. Now at our studios, we are joined by two gentlemen that might as well make our work quite very easier, or the work of those that need to be screening for COVID-19 quite very easy. I'm joined by Uxolani Hadebe and Tino Kurinwi, that they are actually now, I could say, innovators. They are creative. They are builders. They build things. They come up with ideas. They create things. And of course, they are representing RITA'S Aviation. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome to Galaxy Universal Network.
Thank you so much for having us.
I'm quite very excited to be sitting here with a black young people that are doing amazing things. In most cases, when we're thinking of building or creating things or designing things, guys, this is it's beyond. How did it all start?
So it's we're just trying to apply the sort of less simple knowledge we learn from class at school. That's how everything sort of starts about problem solving, trying to find solution for problems, and so we were biased to trying to solve the problem using sort of like an aerial type of solution, because it's what we do as a company.
Yes.
So in a nutshell, that's it. We're just trying to solve a problem.
Okay. Now, we understand that currently our government is facing, we are all, not just our government, the country as a whole, we're facing this pandemic. And there's a possibility that once we reopen the businesses again, the second wave of infection might hit. But now, it might also be an issue in terms of screening people in bigger spaces, which they've actually mentioned that it could be the super spread could take place during that massive gathering. Are you guys coming up with a solution on screening many people at once? Because one of the reasons why we couldn't also move quickly, was the issue of not having enough resources to test, for COVID-19 as quick as possible.
That's the actual the entire design of the COVID drone. So it's just trying to solve that. It's sort of mass screening, basically. Otherwise, it would be rather useless because they are quite expensive to build to just compared to I'm just using your thermometers and being on the ground and screening people. So that's why we decided a drone is aerial. So when people are walking around in the mall or anything like that, you just fly the drone, and then using the symptoms, for instance, it's simple. The simple one we got was your temperature rising, your fever. They have people who have COVID-19 have sort of higher temperatures compared to other people. So using your thermal cameras and everything, you can sort of screen people, and when you see that someone has a sort of a
abnormal,
yes, just a bit of a higher temperature than usual, you just find that person and you isolate them. You test them, and then to actually see whether this person has the coronavirus or not, and then you isolate the person, then you take out so that they don't spread. So otherwise, it would actually be just using your normal thermometers. They would be useful.
Oh, okay. So how close this drone should be? Maybe if I could ask Tino on this one. You know, does it have to be too close? Because people wouldn't want things flying over their heads, of course. Does it have to be too close, or it could be as far as possible, but still be able to pick up the temperature?
So there's a couple of factors going to that. So one of them is the sensor itself, right? That you're going to be mounting a sensor that's going to be measuring the temperatures of a group of people, and the first thing is that you want accuracy with that, right? That you will obviously be piloted, but you want accuracy with that. So that's the first parameter you have to get over. That if you're too far away, the sensor becomes useless, right?
Yes,
secondly, you want to recirculate the air. You don't want to be so close that within a large group of people, right, those that are exhaling, the contaminated air, if I can put it that way, right?
Yes.
You want to use a drone that circulates air, especially in enclosed environments. So stuff like that have to come into play, and it would have to ideally be in such a location that it doesn't recirculate the air within the group of people you're trying to survey. So that is the core or criteria that you want to design the drone for when you survey such a big group. So that is the general answer I can give with regards to how close it has to be with individuals.
So it wouldn't be difficult for one to be able to acquire that, because I mean, when you're thinking of a drone, this must be expensive, you know. Every time when I'm thinking, oh, I need to get a drone, okay, that must be expensive. Is it something that is affordable, that small businesses can get, maybe shopping centers can get, or even individuals, someone who says, oh no, I'm going to be at the party, I don't want people, you know, that have got COVID around me, so I'm going to stand there playing my drone and just fly my drone and let it fly around where I'm standing and making sure, like, no, Mfetu, my drone says you have COVID. Can you please, how is it affordable, first and foremost?
So the drone itself, right? There's different variations of the drones. There's small ones, there's medium ones, and there's large ones. So a small drone is very cheap. You can get those ones for quite a low price, and you don't need a controller. You can use your phone, so forth. So the only issue comes in.
How much is cheap, Tino? Because say sometimes your cheap may not be my cheap.
So cheap is something from 500 rands, right?
Oh,
so from 500 rands, you can definitely get something that can fly around with the camera, right?
No,
quality is questionable, but you get what you pay for, you know?
Oh, okay.
So the only issue...
You throw bananas, you get monkeys. But accuracy-wise, is it accurate? Because that's what matters the most.
Yeah, no, the issue is the sensor. You see, the drone itself is not too much of an issue, right? It's the sensor. The sensor becomes too heavy, you need a bigger drone that can then sustain flight. So that's where the issue comes in, that for recreational use, you know, the kind of scenario you're giving, it might not become feasible for the general public.
Yes.
Right? But for mass screening, right, it's a lot cheaper than having multiple individuals, right, sitting at corners of a mall, right, and then screening people individually, right? But you can screen a lot more people in a shorter period of time, and it doesn't cause a lot of inconvenience. So that is the idea behind that. But for recreational use, with a sensor attached. So this is what's the sensor called? The one that
thermal camera.
Yeah, the thermal camera. But there's a more specific version that
infrared.
Think infrared. But anyway, that kind of camera attached to a drone makes it weigh a lot more. And the every time of a drone maximum that we currently have, and those are the expensive ones, 30 minutes. So for recreational, it becomes too expensive to get that kind of setup running. Yeah.
How are you guys planning to sell these drones as a company? You wanna build them, or design them and then rent them out to events? Because I'm sure that it's not someone, especially the big ones, the commercial ones, it's not something that one will just buy it and keep it and say, in case I go to the event. It's probably just what could maybe be useful is maybe if you rent it out. Do you guys want to rent these things out, or you sell to people that will rent them out? How do you make money out of this in the end?
Wait, okay. So first of all, there are just a lot of regulations surrounding like drones in SA. So, like for instance, you cannot fly them in crowded places and all those things. However, we just thought that there could be an exception made, because like this would be, well, the entire like motivation behind it was to save lives.
Yes.
So we assume that we were like hoping that there could be like an exception made for it, and we're going to try to like make modifications to the actual drone such that if anything happens, like people on the ground are safe and the actual content on the drone are also safe.
Yes.
So yeah, and well,
should I? Yeah. So with regards to there was no intention of with specifically the COVID drone, right? There was no intention of any profit, right? It was strictly that this is a solution offered to the government. This is how I can get it manufactured. This is the resources you would need to deploy this. This is the personnel you need. This is the training you would need, right?
Yes.
And with that, that is where that kind of left off. That you would just leave that in a more in the hands of the government or the the department that will then be responsible for implementing the solution thereafter.
Yes.
So we would be obviously part in that we would have designed and you draw out the plan, draw out the entire solution. But with the COVID one specifically, right, that one was meant for, that was just, the aim was to, help, right, in that whole scenario that was severe back then, and obviously if it comes again, it can be a solution again. But with other parts of our business that there is profits to it, and you can offer it as a service, right, which is usually the case with drones that have these kind of expensive sensors, right? Some is cameras, right, to measure mapping and so forth, and some is your, as we talked before, your thermal cameras and so forth.
Yes.
So those are usually something you want to offer as a service, because the build of the drone is too expensive for anyone who wants to use it once or twice to kill.
Yes.
So yeah, it's usually your corporations, and the two core industries that are currently there is your mining and your entertainment industry. Farming and all those are it's less than 2% from the research we've done.
Yes.
Yeah.
So have the government bought into this idea? Because I'm sure that the first people you would go to is of course our Department of Health and say, guys, here I am, I've got the solution. Have they bought into the idea and see if they can use it in their spaces?
You can take this.
No. So like there were a lot of like things hindering the actual like development of the drone, for starters. When the lockdown, like for instance, was introduced, the drone, we had the idea soon as the when we saw the rapid increase in the cases in China. When the lockdown was introduced, we had the idea back then, and we were asked to go home. We did not have our laptop. I did not have my laptop to continue with the design and everything. My laptop was up for repairs, and I got a repair a laptop from school later on, and I was back on my work, so I started focusing mostly on my schoolwork again. So that was back then, and everything was hindered until I think it was level 3 when we were allowed to come back to school.
Yes.
When I was able to finish the actual drone, we still cannot still couldn't get the type of thermal camera that we sort of decided to wanted to use for accuracy and optimum sort of performance. So yeah, that was when the drone was flying and everything. So yeah, and right now the cases seem to be going down a bit, so we just assume that they won't be sort of as interested or anything like that. But yeah, the idea we had a long time ago, and because of the lockdown regulations, couldn't be allowed to go back to school to actually finish the design and everything.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So how sure are you guys that then this will work out if you?
I mean, there are institutions that use thermal cameras. Just normal thermal cameras, and they are working quite fine. For instance, in my school, there is a place where you just sit by the door, and it tells you how close to get.
Some shops and then stuff when you
it automatically just tells you that you are fine. You can continue working, or continue with the things. So it's the same thing. However, now it's mass screening, and like Tina said, so different thermal cameras and different sort of infrared sensors have. Different weights and stuff like that for accuracy.
Yes.
So for instance, if you want to get from a higher sort of altitude or distance, you might need to get a bigger a thermal camera or something like that, and that might be heavy or anything like that, and that might be more expensive too.
Yes.
So yeah, it just comes down to the type of sensors and altitude we're going to be using this at and everything. So
how are we going to be, in terms of privacy? As I said, let's say now we get into this, we fly this drone, and I know that there are a lot of blockages or red tapes when it comes to privacy, and also if my memory serves me well, is that one, for you to fly a drone you need a specific license to do that. So for you guys as the designers of this, do you need licenses to do that, or as students you can do that, and in the end then would you need licenses to test? So are you guys meeting any types of restrictions in performing your duties?
So we have a drone pilot license, full license and everything, and when it comes to privacy, I mean, for instance, right now as we speak, like I said, there are institutions that use your normal thermal cameras, like I told you, does your face. It's literally just using the exact same thing, nothing different. The only thing that would be happening is that it would be viewing the on a monitor of actually what's happening. Nothing is being recorded, nothing is being sold to anyone or anything like that, just like they're actually using in institutions and all to test people for temperature. It's legit just using that. Okay,
because I'm of the belief that the drone at this moment, you guys might see as if oh no, now the rate is going down, then you might not need it, but they are starting to open up now for bigger crowds and stuff like that, which is, I think that's where you could find it. I'm sure you have witnessed when you're coming into the shop, some people can just go in the other way. You see that, oh, this person did not take temperature, in fact, because there are so many people, and one person standing there doing temperature, you miss one or two people moving in, and that could be the death of you at that moment, because you might be allowing a person like that to come in. So I'm thinking that your solution, of course, comes in quite very handy when it comes to this thing, and I would probably encourage you guys to just keep pushing and say, government, now we are looking at a bigger issue where people will start gathering in bigger crowds, and it doesn't mean that COVID-19 is gone. We have seen the countries like the United Kingdom where they gone down, and then the second wave again come back and hit them back again hard. So I'm thinking that we must push. So I understand that this drone is not just the only thing that you guys have designed. Talk to us about the other components that you deal with. I was on your website and I saw that you've got a vision of designing components for the airplanes, for that matter. That's very big.
So first of all, the entire motivation to build components for the airplanes came from our love just for everything we're doing in class, and our dream, it's our end goal, it's our dream.
Yes.
And so we just wanted to start small. But so that's the entire idea. We just want to start small and then grow our way into the industry, into building the small turbojets for gliders and stuff like that. And and then maybe later on in life, I know my friend's dream is to actually build an actual airplane. It is also part of my dream now. We're in this together.
Tell them your actual dream. Tell them where you're trying to go.
Yeah, but I'm into I'm more into fighter jets specifically. Fighter jet engines. I'm into that. Turbojet 4FF 414, therefore GE F414 for the Gripen.
And in that moment, to me, you're just calling numbers. They mean no.
Sorry. And it's used by the South African multi-role fighter jet, the Gripen. Those are sort of types of engines that I personally want to build. At the end of the day. And Tino can
Tino, yes, I'm understanding that your main goal is one day to build your own airplane.
It's a combination, the engine and the airplane, one in one. But yes, you're right.
What is driving you behind it? What's the driving force behind you wanting to build airplanes? Do you find something? Do you have other different ideas to say, you know what, when I build my own airplane, I think these are the features that I would want to see in there. This is how I want to improve it. This is a type of innovation I want to bring onto the table. What is driving you? Are we expecting to see something new, something better, something more faster, and what's in there?
Yeah, so the aviation industry is a tough one because over the past couple of years, there's been very little innovation due to
Yes.
how regulated it is, and
Yes.
obviously the core changes that are driving the industry forward is material. Right, there's new material discovered. There's new ways in which technology is evolving, but the physics of airplanes hasn't really changed much over the years. So for me, the plane that I'm trying to design, right, is so this is quite a bigger goal in that I see so it's aerospace and then astronautical, which is
Yes.
outside the Earth's atmosphere, right? That's where I kind of see more playroom in that it's more recreational, in that the airplane I'm trying to get to is something that is more in the
Yes.
the Earth's atmosphere, out
Yes.
to the Earth's atmosphere, and that is the goal that I kind of have in mind. And it's more of a recreational thing whereby, you just like your Galaxy. It's is it the Jeff? It's Jeff Bezos, or is it? It's the guy from Virgin. It's Virgin Galactic. The whole idea of exploring space
Yes.
for the consumer base. So that is kind of the idea I'm trying to head to. And I was starting off with the aero side of things. So this is aeronautical engineering, and
Yes.
then I'm trying to get into astronautical engineering, which
Yes.
is your space stuff. So that is kind of the direction I kind of want to head eventually, and that's
Yes.
that's what's kind of motivating me, right? The space stuff, basically, right? So getting into the space stuff, but there's quite a far goal. It's
Of
something
course.
that's
Of
going
course.
to be over the years.
There's been, I was just trying to figure out if I could find that, jet. There's been like one of the most fastest jets that could take out a trip that was meant to be like 12 hours now and just do it in 2 hours and stuff like that. And they discovered that they were not so safe. So they had to ground it and rework on it and stuff like that. And the people that design it, they are the ones that has to test it, right? So you guys are ready, because you know that if you're coming up with something new, there's a possibility that it might be the death of you on your own mission.
No, true. No, very true. No, that's very true. I think you're referring to the Concorde. That's the
Concorde.
Yeah,
yes, of
that's
course.
the
I was trying to
aircraft
figure out the name because I remember. Yes.
Yeah, no, it actually came to South Africa and did test flights in South Africa, because South Africa is the worst case scenario, and usually aircraft are tested for the worst case scenario. So Joburg, I think it's Joburg if I remember correctly, but that's the worst case scenario. So if you test it there, it's good everywhere else. That was the idea. So yeah, it did come to South Africa, the Concorde, and yeah, that is the plane that you're referring to. And yeah, it had its setbacks because it was quite the vision.
Wait, that was the commercial one. I know about the SR-71 fighter.
The SR-71, yeah, no, that's something.
Is it not fighter? Is it not faster?
Yeah, no, but that's not for what you call this, transport. The one was meant to be civilian. The SR-71 is something that was military based and just meant to fly.
I'm sure it takes a special child to grow up with such a vision and a dream and stuff like that. What do you guys do to groom young men that are growing up that might have a dream? Now, when I'm remembering, there's a guy that I know, a young boy in fact, who used to take wooden pots and mix it with some batteries and then put it on, and then these things will fly. Using some batteries, and he put something that becomes like an aerial on top of it. And now I'm realizing, I wish I was older at that time as well. I would have, assisted this person to pursue that, because for a person to just think of, let me put all these things together. Is there something that you guys are doing? Because I think the best investment that you can do is investing in people, because that would continue to carry your dream. Are you taking other young people with you on this journey to say, if you are talented and interested, let us start this together and we get there?
Give him the entire.
Okay.
Give her the entire thing.
Yeah. So we have a lot of things we do in the company, right? Like different skills and everything. Just for just a background and the foundation that I'm trying to build. What I'm about to say. We have a lot of things we do in the company, and mostly is simply problem solving. So we do have an idea of a program we want to run for high school learners. So it's an after school, and it's a sort of a holiday program. So we're hoping that the program can actually help reduce your teenage pregnancies, and you're basically get more people interested in like the building and the flying stuff of like the things, more into, and then less into like the parties, like the most dangerous stuff where they can get like rape or anything like that. So we're just trying to like play our part into doing that. So we're going to run a high school program, and where we it's going to be divided in 3 stages. So there's going to be those who aspire to be pilots, they'll be flying the drones, and also the RC cars. And then those who want to be engineers and everything, they'll be, well, we'll give them like the parts we designed, sort of easy to assemble.
So you design your own simulator as well?
Simulator, those are very expensive.
Yeah, and not for drones, especially not for drones.
Like,
this is strictly in person.
This is in person.
Going to schools and running the entire program.
Yes, so it's just the building part of like them. So we are going to design the actual like the drones, like the small components, so that it's easy assembled to them, and they can actually see it fly. And then the third part is that maybe when they're doing their grade 12 and sort of they graduated, we can ask them to design something. So we tell them that, hey, give us an idea that you want to, you had an idea, you want to build this, you want to do this, give us to them, and then we give those to the facilitators. It could be our colleagues, our classmates, and everything. We tell them that, hey, the learners want to do this. Just make this feasible for them. Let them actually like just design, sort of build. You apply the design process that includes your math, that includes your modeling, that includes your mathematical modeling, your thermal calculations, your fluid calculation, anything that can actually make this work. And once that is done, we then go back to like the building part. Right now with the fourth industrial revolution, you can just 3D print some of these things, and then so yeah, that's the entire like process.
Get onto the AAD as well, because it is part of it. So in addition,
maybe you might get into the AAD.
No, the AAD is part of it. So in addition to this, it has substance to it, right? That it's not just an idea, right? There is actually a body that we are in talks with, primarily. He's in talks with that deals specifically with students, youngsters, and in the aerospace industry, the aircraft industry in South Africa. So I think Monica should give you a bit more on that.
So it's actually our motive, and actually how me and Tim actually got in contact is because of the AAD to Africa Aerospace and Defense, the Youth Development Program. So they are like in 2018, we had an ENCA interview, me and Mr. Kumalo, the chairperson, where we discussed about the development of the robotics program that they were planning on running and everything. So yeah, and so I was like, I'm still trying to talk to Mr. Kumalo into, because they like the idea was just like a robotics program. So we just wanted to add sort of the aviation aspect of things, like your RC flyings and everything like that. So
what do you do for people that have the dream and the skill? Because there are those people that are just gifted in putting things together, but they are not good in their school thingy, in school marks and everything else. But once you give them this, maybe you give them a simulator for that moment, they come in there and look at it and say, okay, this was in this way, this was this, and then they dismantle it and be able to put it back again and stuff like that. Is there a way, as engineers, to say, what, if you could do such things? Because I've realized that, our government have got the type of education where if you are not good at school, then you go and do woodwork, go do a welding, and go do this and that. But there are people that are actually skilled in some other ways, but they're just not good on a pen and a paper, putting this thing in pen and a paper. They know how to do the hardware of each and everything. Are there maybe programs that you guys are busy with to say, now let's upgrade these skills, instead of just handing it over at bricklaying or any other thing, let it be something more advanced? Or is it even possible to achieve that?
Okay, so can I take this one? Yeah, so with that, so due to the current setup that, we are a small company, and, we haven't gone to such a stage whereby, we can support such, because at that point, so as you've noticed, we are dealing with the students, right? So it's quite easy to get someone who's in school, right, to get into such a thing. But, if I understand you correctly, this is more in, let's say, someone who has finished their high school, or someone who is an adult, or, has some background in, this kind of thing. So with that, it becomes quite more involved. It becomes a lot more involved in that, you need to look at a lot more aspects with that, which is that not to be too harsh, but you need to be able to support this individual with their skills, right? That when you want to run a business, you need to have the right balance, right? That if you want to employ people you want to educate, right? You obviously have a program in the company that allows them to educate them, but you do need the qualified individuals that can actually sustain production. So stuff like that is something that we would ideally want to consider when we have reached a certain threshold that we have capital to continue running, and we can invest in a program within the company that would take these individuals that have this passion, that are willing to put in the work, and then educate them on how they can get this done, because building the drone doesn't actually have any requirement with the regulations we've read. It's only piloting it and as well as maintaining it. Those are the only two things that really need the accreditation. So stuff like that is possible. So you can actually put that, but depending on what they do with the regulations, they are still being updated. They're being updated approximately every 5 years. And if the next one comes out, but I doubt there's going to be such a drawback that will prohibit people from so that is that.
The industry you guys are in, it's a very harsh one in terms of a person's fitness and stuff like that. You cannot just come in here and say, oh, now I just want to fly maybe an airplane or whatever else, and they check into your health, they check into so many different parts of it, and of course your mental stability as well, because it's not just only for the person who's flying the plane itself. They also need to check your mental stability of a person who is building the machine, because if you are frustrated about something, you will build something that will obviously have like a 5 minutes or 10 minutes lifespan. Once it's there on air, then you're like, I've been wanting to crush somebody, and this time around I found my chance. I would kill all of them after I build this thing. Are you guys also subjected to such health checkups and stuff like that to see if you are okay to do the work that you want to do?
So currently, from what the current published guidelines and regulations, they don't have anything with to that, but they do govern. So there's there's different categories, and how they structure it is that firstly, mounting any form of lethal component onto that is prohibited, right? But with that, they have regulations as to what possible damage could this drone cause, and that they have restricted. So stuff like that, you can't be seen flying such a thing without getting approval from the director. It's a whole process where you have to get approval. So things like that have been quite regulated from my standpoint. But if someone wanted to kill someone, that's something that doesn't really matter what they're doing with the drone or with the gun. It's really up to the intention. So stuff like that. As developers, right? We're not regulated, but the piloting license, those actually do have exactly what you've mentioned. Those tests are carried out, and there are the relevant training that you have to go through before you get the qualification.
Yes, you guys are working on a dream right now, so I want you guys to share with us your dream. I understand that one day you want to build the fighter jets engines, and of course those engines will be put into the airplanes or the jets that he wants to build from the scratch. Are you working towards that dream, or it's just a dream?
So the entire business model is based around that. So that is where the drones come in. The drones is the easiest way to enter the aviation market. It's the least regulated. It's the newest part of it, so it's easy to kind of get in while things are developing, as opposed to fully developed markets like your aviation industry, whereby trying to build an airplane requires just the jet engine itself requires considerable amount of research and funding. That's why there's so few engine manufacturers. That's why Boeing and Airbus don't produce their own engines, because there's no need to. It's such a competitive, not really competitive, it's such a closed market that getting into the market, there's barely anything you're offering straight away. right? That if you were to just tackle it, you'd be wasting a lot of money, investment, but just so you can sell another similar product. So how we kind of taking the approach is that it's first the drones, easiest to get into the market, then the aircraft components. You know, that it's, you know, you're not focusing on an entire engine. You can build, for example, the intake, where the air comes in. And with that, you get some experience. You know exactly how the market works, what is required, what are the regulations. And from that point on, you can then build what we then, the glider propulsion systems. They're small engines, right? Quite tiny, but they are exactly the fundamentals of it. It's an engine, you know, you have the fundamentals, and from that we then get into the engines, and then from the big engines in the fighter jets you then can get into, because at that point you should have enough funding, you should have enough capital, enough resources, enough personnel, enough experience to then get to the point where we can then build and then enter the full market, in which is our jet engines and our aeroplanes.
Yes. What's the time frame here? What are we looking at? Are we looking at maybe the next 5 years, or when you guys are having gray hair? What's the time frame here?
So everything is just everything is just going to depend on how we are going to get, because like we build different drones specifically for like specific reasons. Could be your like security, like industrial use or anything like that.
Yes.
We build like different drones.
Yes.
So depending on which sort of how everything is just going, like everything, like you said, it's capital and it's research. So once we get like the money and the capital to actually like start doing that, while maintaining like sort of the production of drones we use for solving the problems we wanted to solve, then we can start like doing research on the like the big stuff.
Do you guys have money?
No.
Yeah,
okay. So what do you do? Like, where do you plan to get the money from? Is it money that you're planning to apply for from the government, or you want to apply from maybe NASA and ask them, listen, guys, we want to build this thing? Where do you go to try and find money? Because I understand that, I mean, places like your IDC probably they do find innovative, I mean, scientific and engineering programs and stuff like that. Is it easy for you guys to access that money, or there's a lot of red tape around it as well?
So to access, that kind of funding, you need to have a core offering, right? You need to have an entire business model around it, a project plan that then kind of, says,
of course,
how is this thing going to work? What is the funds needed, and how is it going to generate revenue?
Yes.
Right? So primarily, that kind of funding requires that kind of, and for us to get that, we have to complete our research, which deals exactly, how the market is, right? The drone market specifically, who are the potential customers, right?
Yes.
And what exactly would you best offer? So that kind of research first needs to be completed on our end before we can then provide a complete proposal to the different organizations. But while we're doing that, what we do offer is consultations, right? So having a vast knowledge on the drones. I can't say the aerospace industry, that's quite a big industry, but we offer consultation that you want a drone solution, right? We started the consultation before we start getting into the building, right? So that allows us to, apply our knowledge, right? As well as, charge a consultation fee that, you want to survey this area, this much, so forth, you want to build this drone. We consult, we draw up a project plan for you.
Yeah.
This is how much it's going to cost, this is what you would need, and so forth. These are the regulations you need to look out for.
Yes.
Is it feasible or not? And then from that, we also then get into actually building that drone.
Yes.
And that's the kind of funding that just allows us to get, that kind of research done.
I get
and then
it. From
that research, we then apply a full-scale model.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that's basically the idea behind, or that's how the funding needs to kind of go about.
I get it. In just 30 seconds, where do one find you? If, let's say now there's some people, they're like, I love what you guys are doing, I want to support you, or I want to be part of the team. How can I do? Where do they find you?
So we have a website. It's called RITA'S Aviation. So RITA'S and then aviation, AVIATION .co.za, and we have an Instagram page. And we also have a Twitter page too, and a Facebook page.
All they are saying
yes, RITA'S Aviation, RITA'S
If you
Aviation.
Google just that, you'll find a number of articles and read some of the articles, you probably get to the website.
Yes.
So any one of those, or just Google images. RITA'S Aviation, look for an image that has a drone in it. That's probably yes.
Okay.
And it will direct you to...
I noted that your company doesn't have a lady, but we'll talk about it at a later stage as to.
It does.
No, but
She came in late. She came in late.
Okay, so I'll check
that is
on
drone
your
pilot.
website, the profile
Yes,
doesn't
that is
have
the
a
drone
lady.
pilot.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
At least you tried.
Yeah, no, we did.
You know, you're almost there. Thank you so
there's
much,
two,
guys.
yes.
Thank you so much for joining us, and wish you all the best going forward. You're such a great example to the Black African child. You are obviously leading by example, and would like to invite all of our Africans to join the suit and you know, be like what you guys are doing. Go out there, grab the opportunities that other people think they are impossible. Wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks you for having us.
Thank you. We have reached, of course, to the end of our today's programming. We hope that you had a beautiful 3-hour time with us right here on Pan African Morning. Please do join us again tomorrow, same time, same place, right here on Pan African Morning. From myself and the rest of our Pan African Morning team, wish you all the best, and we want to thank you for being part of this program. We would like to thank our guest, of course, for being here, from Rita Sibanyoni from Aviation, that were talking to us about the new innovation that they are busy with. And of course, we'd like to thank all our Zoom guests that have been a part of this program. And of course, we want to thank you, our beautiful viewer at home, for allowing us to be in your home and housing us this first beautiful breakfast morning. Igama lami ke ngingusisanda unomusa kwaQWABE-QUATOUD. Intombazane yaphansi kwamhlabe yalingana umfulo ngophuza ngiphuzo gelegele. Kanti inkomo zakhethi ngeshiya zidla phansi emahlathini asekubandeni. Kanti ke zona ziphuze ebhudlweni umfulo ohamba ngeslow motion. Kwesikwazi bisigodi kula ngibuya khona ke. Ngathola amabomba ami ngabhekisa egoli kwandonga ziyaduma kwanyama kayipheli kuphela amazinga endoda ke. Maqeda wenzeka kumhlolo unomusa ukumabona kude. Until next time, Africa, it's a goodbye from me.